From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
Don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected this time around. I'm anti-Trump. I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump on his inauguration as the 47th President of the United States.
Mentioning Keir Starmer, the UK Premier.
Yes, he's coming tonight.
What do you think of him? Some of his colleagues in government are quite critical of you.
Well, I'm going to see him in about an hour, so I have to be nice, right? But I actually think he's very nice. I think he ran a great race. He did very well. It's very early, but he's popular, and I'll be seeing him, and I'll send you regards. Who are you with?
GB News in the UK.
Okay, good.
But would you rather Nigel Farage would have had a bigger role?
Well, I think Nigel is great. I mean, I've known him for a long time. He had a great election, too. Picked up a lot of seats, more seats than he was allowed to have, actually. They acknowledge that he won, but for some reason you have a very strange system over there. You might win them, but you don't get them.
As the USA and the world celebrate Donald Trump's inauguration, this was UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer during the night on his return from giving more of the British taxpayers' money to Ukraine for the next 100 years. And yes, it's hundreds of billions.
Support for one another in times of war and in times of peace, and we don't have a seat at the table.
Yes, I don't understand the details of this, so we'll wait for government perhaps to clarify. But you're absolutely right that the United States is our closest security ally. And as we've discussed on your program many times, the world is getting far more dangerous, far more unstable, and we need to be close with America to deal with the challenges that are coming over the hill. I've just been commenting this week that 2025 will be the year of grey zone warfare. We're going to be attacked left, right and centre.
If we were using our brains and being honest, it's clear that Keir Starmer is not in charge and probably dislikes the UK. To make things worse, he has been trying to screw Trump during the American elections. But before you think two-tier Keir might redeem himself in the eyes of the Trump administration, know that such a possibility is a very distant reality. Yet Keir Starmer's exclusion from Donald Trump's inauguration has become a hot topic in British politics, with many expressing outrage over the Prime Minister's absence, while Starmer's critics argue that his actions against Trump, including comments from other Labour figures, likely led to the snub. The decision is seen by many as a reflection of his failure as a leader. People believe that as the leader of the UK's closest ally, Starmer should have been invited, but his strained relationship with Trump has overshadowed the special relationship between the US and Britain.
And it is pretty embarrassing for Britain to have the special relationship that we have, and everybody knows we have it with the United States of America, but Donald Trump has seen fit not to invite Sir Keir Starmer, no doubt because of his views on Donald Trump, no doubt because of David Lammy's sayings on Donald Trump, maybe indeed because of Sadiq Khan's protestations about what a horrible man Donald Trump is. You know, you can't mess around in politics and pretend that you're in a student union, because otherwise you end up being left on the outside of all of the good stuff that's going on. And next Monday, when Donald Trump is inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States of America, I consider it to be a massive stain on British history.
The situation highlights the growing divide between the UK and the US, with many seeing Starmer's exclusion as an embarrassment for Britain. Some suggest that his refusal to align with Trump's policies and his outspoken opposition may have alienated him from the US leadership. The public's frustration is palpable, with many viewing Starmer's actions as weakening the UK's standing on the global stage. Beyond the political fallout, people also point to a broader concern about the UK's place in the world. With global instability increasing and growing threats from adversarial nations, the need for strong ties with the US has never been more crucial. Yet, the current government's handling of foreign relations, particularly with China, is seen as insufficient, with many arguing that Britain is increasingly isolated in this new geopolitical era. Starmer's exclusion from the inauguration serves as a stark reminder of how far Britain's global influence has diminished under his leadership.
A little note on Trump, I suppose, before we start on what's going on here in Downing Street. We have yet to see or hear the Trump-Starmer conversation. Many people saying to me that, everything's fine, the relationship's absolutely no problem at all. The fact that, Starmer wasn't invited to the inauguration doesn't matter. But it kind of does, because he's already behind several world leaders who will have had conversations with Trump. So, there used to be the race to be the first person to talk to the new president. He's already lost that. And who knows how long it's going to be before Trump deigns to have a conversation with him.
Yeah, I mean, the really interesting thing is that most White House, there's not a lot of access, but a lot of influence, i.e. that, you can't really get to them. Once you can get to them, you can influence them. The reverse is true with Trump, which is that there's lots of access, not much influence.
Yeah.
The strained relationship between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump is becoming increasingly apparent, as many are noticing the lack of communication between the two leaders. Starmer's failure to be invited to Trump's inauguration speaks volumes, especially when compared to other world leaders who have already secured their meetings with the incoming president. People believe that this marks a significant diplomatic snub, highlighting how Starmer's stance has alienated the UK from one of its closest allies. Trump's approach to foreign relations, focusing on business interests, tariffs and national security, is clearly at odds with Starmer's policies, which many see as ineffective. His
name keeps coming up in the frame. Not very sure whether he's going to be welcomed with open arms by the White House and the new teams in there. And now suddenly Ed Miliband's brother, David Miliband, is offering very generously to solve the problem by stepping into the ambassador's shoes himself.
Well, there's that tact and charm which almost won him the Labour leadership. Look, I think that David Miliband has been spotted a lot around Westminster in recent months. I bumped into him myself actually. Yeah, walking around. So he's been having lots of meetings. Now, of course, he's the head of International Rescue, not the Thunderbirds theme, but the international aid charity in Washington, which earns a fortune.
Yeah.
The public is also frustrated by the government's failure to address critical issues, like the economy and immigration, which they view as being mishandled under Starmer's leadership. As Britain faces a potential economic downturn, people feel Starmer is out of touch with the needs of the nation. With many viewing the current government as disconnected and ineffective, there's a growing sense that the country is being led in the wrong direction. As Trump builds alliances with those he trusts, including figures like Nigel Farage, many feel that Starmer's leadership is only pushing Britain further away from global influence.